Jeff Jonas, and I'm a science teacher here at Freedom High School. My childhood happened when I was very young, and we moved around a lot as a family. We were a military family, so we moved around a lot. I ended up living with my mom in Richmond, California, and I lived there for, I guess, through junior high and high school. So that was the most permanent home I had. Played a lot outside. We didn't have computers and such and video games back then. It was a few years ago. I was lucky enough to play football and baseball in high school, and then I boxed for the AAU program. It was a good time. I enjoyed my high school and junior high school time. Oh, we had a few interesting stories in my childhood that I could relate to. I told probably most of my students about the time I learned what cow tipping was, and the cow had an accident because apparently when a big cow gets to the side of a cliff, sliding on its side at about 40 miles an hour, the little fence won't stop it. And cows, you might not know this, but cows really aren't built to fly. They fall better than they fly, and they make a weird sound when they hit the asphalt 50 or 60 feet below. So that was a pretty memorable story for me. I became a zoology teacher here at Freedom, and it's probably the highlight of my time here at Freedom. Is I always wanted to do zoology, but the school district that I came from, there was no money to do anything, and anything you asked, it was just no, no, no. And so I figured I'd ask here, and at the time our superintendent was the principal here, Mr. Volta. And so I went to him with the idea about doing zoology, and I figured it was going to be no, another no. And he was all for it. He was like, okay, just tell me what you need. What can I do for you? I'm just really happy that this district was willing to let me play with snakes and have a zoology program. I think my interest in zoology came from growing up with a mom that loved animals, and we always had lots of animals, cats and dogs mostly, and I had lots of little animals, hamsters, and I used to raise mice for the pet store so I could make a little money. And I actually did the little biology experiments on genetics to see what colors I could cross and what colors I could get. So yeah, I was a weird little kid. I think my favorite thing about being a teacher, if I had to think of one favorite thing being a teacher, I think it would probably be June and July. No, my favorite thing about being a teacher is working with the kids. I mean, it's challenging sometimes, but it's also, it's never the same. It's never boring. There's always something different happens, something weird happens in the class. The kids are mutants around here, what can I say? I have 2 daughters, one who's going to be 20 in a couple days, and one who's 6 years old. So there's a big gap there. So it's like I've gotten to do my dad thing all over again. And I don't think I was really prepared to start over at 50-ish to have a little baby running around, but she keeps me going. She keeps me on my toes. She never stops moving. She is perpetual motion. A lot of times people ask me, what's your favorite animal, Mr. Jonas? And that's a really hard question to answer because it can change on a daily basis for me. But I think consistently, day in and day out, I have 3 favorite animals. The favorite one out in the wild that I'd like to go see at any time is a great white shark. I've been down in shark cages and things like that, and I've never had a rush like that. It's a huge rush being down there. My favorite animal, if I could own one, if it was possible, I'd like to have a Bengal tiger. Just to walk it down the street and see what everybody says. Just to go to my old hometown, have it on a big leash and walk down the street. Say, what's up, fishes? And but my 2 favorite animals that I actually own are my ferrets. I love ferrets. They're really smart. Oh, you're not supposed to own them, I guess, because it's illegal, but we won't put this out to the authorities. And my dog. I love dogs. Dogs are fun. The most memorable experience of my life and I know this is kind of hokey, corny answer, but the most memorable experience I think that I've ever had was when my first daughter was born, and I was in there watching that process happen, and you think you're a big tough guy or whatever, and then it just breaks you down and beats you up, and you're like, oh, and you're crying and whatever, and then, and it's just something you'd have to experience to understand, but when your kids are born, it changes everything for you. If I had to put something on my greatest accomplishment, I would say that getting out of where I lived growing up in Richmond and getting a degree and getting a master's degree, probably my greatest accomplishment, because I don't think when I was in high school and when I was in junior high, I'm sure the odds were, most people would have said, oh, that guy's going to end up in jail or something. I might not have been the best citizen in the world, but because I had a lot of help from coaches and teachers, I was able to get out of Richmond and get my degree, and here I am at Freedom, disrupting the lives of students every day. My plans for the future are, I would really like to travel more. I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot recently with Miss Bruins through EF Tours. We just got back from Costa Rica. A couple years ago we went to Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji, and Hawaii, and then we went to Costa Rica another time. And so I'm hoping that in about 2 years, or maybe about a year and a half, that we'll be able to take a trip to the Galapagos Islands with a bunch of kids, and that ought to be fun. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for in the future, and then possibly finding a wig that will bring back my youth and show people the sexy guy I really am. Bye.